Ladies and gentlemen, fellow viewers, I'm once again yet with another episode of Win Life Like a Warrior. As I keep mentioning that winning life like a warrior doesn't mean that you every time have to go to battlefield and then win. What I mean to say like a warrior, that you have to win some of the demons within you, which is your self-limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging traits, your regressive attitude, negative thoughts. These are some of the things which one has to fight and win. And in that series only, like warrior, which I have acronymed is W, is that winning mindset. And A is your altered attitude. Then R is you reinvent yourself. Another R is remove clutter from your life. And then finally, I is inspire yourself, then offer gratitude, and finally reap the rewards. So this is what the warrior means. Such warrior in my life this time is Mrs. Deepa Malik, which is a unique warrior, which is a true warrior in sense of life. And she's the one who is now Padma Shri award winner. She is also a Khel Ratna. She is also your Arjuna Awardee and host of hundreds of other national and international awards. Before I go to Deepa ji, let me just recite two lines which I read somewhere about Deepa ji, and which she tells, and which is a very inspiring line from Deepa ji, that is, ईश्वर पर अगर भरोसा है तो जो किस्मत में लिखा है वो पाओगे, लेकिन जो खुद पर भरोसा है तो ईश्वर वो लिखेगा जो तुम चाहोगे. These are such an inspiring life from Deepa ji. Can you think of she that kind of a lady that who has broken all the ceilings and finally she is in front of us. Deepa ji, I really welcome you, and you are an awesome inspiration to not only to India, to the world. Deepa ji.
Thank you, Colonel. That's really an honor to be speaking to a veteran, and coming from an army family, it doubles up the joy of having a conversation with you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, really, Deepa ji, in fact, I am privileged and I am humbled that you found time to converse with me. And really, I was so excited and nervous as well that talking to with such a wonderful personality and such an inspiring personality. So to start with, Deepa ji, as I have gone through your profile and the life journey, you had the issue in the childhood of tumor. Then finally, at the age of 30, again you developed that same problem. And that was the time when you had two young daughters, and also you were having a host of responsibilities. But when this problem came and you consulted doctor, and doctors advised you, Deepa ji, that if you go through this operation again, you may be the chest down, maybe that paralytic, and as well as you may lose life also. So under such circumstances, despite all the warnings, you decided, you took a step, you took action that yes, I will go through the operation. And so my question is, how did you muster that courage to go through that under such situation? You go through that operation and took a decision of undergoing that.
I think, Colonel, you'll agree with me that in the setup and in the atmosphere that I have been brought up, I only see courage around me.
Yes.
I only saw, I have grown up hearing the stories of 71 war. I was barely a year old when my father had gone for that war. And we had General Y.N. Sharma commanding the regiment at that point of time, and then going on to becoming a general, and seeing him on his artificial limb, cycling. And then army somehow prepares you for the worst, keeping you motivated, patriotic at the same time. And probably that was also the time when Kargil was going on and my husband was in the field area. So was my brother, my father, and my father-in-law. Everybody's from the army background. And we army wives, the olive green wives, are somehow, I think, uh, tuned, and somehow we know that we have to time and again take over as the man of the house, because the call of the duty is so purposeful. The call of the duty is so important to the nation. And we take a lot of pride in what our husbands do. So, with my husband being away, brother being away, I knew that I had no option but to take charge, because he was not coming back. And I was not going to cry for him to come back. I knew that was the call of a duty. At the same time, my younger daughter was barely 3, my elder daughter was barely 6.5. And I think the mother in me also gave me the strength, because they say that the biggest pain, as on the scale of pain and discomfort, is the pain of labor. When a woman delivers a child, and having delivered 2 children, I think I had gained enough strength. Having faced the paralysis as a child and recovering from it, having undergone major surgeries and 4 years of hospitalization, somewhere I was emotionally strong. I also drove a lot of strength from the army soldiers I met in R&R hospital when I had gone for my final checkup, where I was given 7 days to celebrate walking. The soldiers were smiling. Referral and research hospital, army hospital in Dhola Kuan, was converted into a makeshift ICU, because there were so many war casualties which were being flown in. And most of them were bullet injuries, blast injuries. Somebody had got paralyzed, somebody had lost an eye, somebody had lost a limb. And yet all these soldiers were smiling. There was not a single speck of sadness out there. It was all about heroism. It was all about valor. It was all about patriotism. And they were even comparing their injuries. Oh, you lost 1 leg, I lost 2. Because that much love I have for my country. And I said, I have no business to crib now. They are all in the army because they are selected for body fitness. They were the healthiest people in the country, the most physically fit people who were selected to be in the army as army soldiers. And now they have lost a limb. I still have a disease which has been there since childhood. I have no reason to crib, because if the fittest of the fit have become disabled.
I know.
So I think these are many factors that came together. And to be very honest, there was also a thought which was going at the back of my mind, that what if my husband does not come back from the war? There was always a chance of that.
I know.
And my children can't be orphaned at that time. I have to go through this surgery. I have to give myself a chance to life.
Yes.
So that at least one parent is around the children.
No doubt, Deepaji, means this is the thought of a courageous man or woman, that you take inspiration from your surroundings, and you took inspiration from the soldier around you. Your father was in army, your husband in army, your brother in the army, and you have seen the Kargil war victims, and then you draw the inspiration. I think that is a lot to learn from this, and that is where the courage lies. And in fact, the courage is not opposite of fear. It is the basically you take action in presence of fear. That is what the courage, and you did exactly the same.
I think army teaches you that plan B, na?
Yes, yeah.
We always hear about a plan B mode in the army, and one has always, and in little things. My father, if there was an annual inspection coming up, he always had 2 brand new uniforms ready, and
which arms he was.
My dad's from the Grenadiers, so is my brother. My husband and my father-in-law from the Sindh Horse, the Armored Corps.
Okay.
Yes.
That's perfect.
So, even in little things, dad used to always have a second pen in his briefcase. He used to always have a second pair of uniform always ready. कि एक गंदी हो गई तो immediately दूसरी होनी चाहिए. So there was always subconsciously one always knew that you always have to be prepared for the unseen with your next plan of action.
Absolutely said.
So I think this upbringing and this also helped me, because dealing with paralysis was nothing but moving on to the plan B.
Absolutely. And army always goes with that, and plan B is always in the action. But thereafter, Deepaji, like you have been operated and you had this challenge, chest down. But there are a lot of medication, physiotherapy, and a number of things you have to go through. But this all limitation, see, going through the operation to get well, perfectly all right. That is decided. That anybody can do. I have also gone through some operation that time, and I took a decision in a spur of moment. But after having those, I must say that challenged life, then deciding to do something which is unheard of, and you wanted to become an athlete, you need a lot of mental toughness. Where did you get that mental toughness to do that?
I think my DNA is outdoors. And post paralysis, everybody told me that, now she can't travel. She has no bladder and bowel control. So, how is she ever going to step out of a room? And a body which is totally chest below paralyzed, she won't be able to sit for more than an hour or 2 hours, always dependent on others. So bitten by the stereotype, because nobody was telling us options. Everybody was just talking about problems.
Yes.
And lying in the bed, post-operative care, at that point of time, I didn't have much of a say, because I was also confused that होगा क्या जिंदगी में, मतलब तो एक इनिशियली फीलिंग ये थी कि मैं सबके एहसान तले हूँ, क्योंकि पानी भी कोई पिला रहा है, कपड़े भी कोई बदली करवा रहा है, डायपर भी कोई पहना रहा है, शिफ्टिंग करनी है तो गोदी में उठा के शिफ्टिंग हो रही है. So in the psychology at that point of time was कि चुप रहो और जो मदद कर रहा है उसके लिए grateful feel करो. और ये थोपा भी जा रहा था. It was being thirst कि now I know. You just have to be grateful कि there is help around you. And in that time my husband also left army. He was in middle of his command and he left because I was left alone. And after coming back from the war zone, he got posted as Recce Squadron Commander. Then Op Parakram happened. He was again deputed on the border for a year and a half. And post that, he took over, he got a compassionate posting. Then he went to Ahmednagar, where my father-in-law was settled. And there I started living in the farmhouse where my dad-in-law and mother-in-law were living a retired life. Now, there's a lot of difference between a woman who's a 30-year-old with 2 very young children.
I know.
And living in a secluded farmhouse. We may be very palatial and big.
Yeah.
But it does not give any company to my 2 little girls. I don't have my own age group to talk with.
I know.
And on top of that, you are totally dependent.
I know.
So, and then came these societal reviews of my situation.
Yeah.
That, oh my God, poor family. Now husband is also deciding to leave army. And in a place called Ahmednagar, where will he get another job? The daughters will never have a good mother. This woman is going to be a liability. Maybe the husband should decide to get married again. Ye to रहेगी घर में पलती रहेगी.
My God.
I kind of, and people even said that she's very lucky, like look, her in-laws are still keeping her. And I was like, what is wrong? I mean, where is Deepa in all this?
Yeah.
The Deepa who loved outdoors, the Deepa who loved biking, the Deepa who got married on a condition that you will give me a bike, only then will I marry you.
Okay.
And I married a soldier because I love the vagabond life.
I know.
I like to explore new cities, new remote areas, then go travel. But ये सब तो बंद हो गया.
I know.
वो बंदा ही अब soldier नहीं रहा. I was so brave. I never asked him even once to come back home. Whether he was in Op Vijay, whether he was in Op Parakram, I never complained. I stayed alone for initial 2.5, 3 years, dealing with my emotions, dealing with my insecurities, dealing with all the sadness, not having a companion by your side, because I was being that very good wife.
Yes, yes.
In hope to again go back to the same life.
Yes. Naturally, so basically you wanted to discover the old Deepa, which was
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. So
लोग बहुत कुछ कहते हैं, my God, Deepa, तुमने ये कर डाला, वो कर डाला. I said it was nothing but a search for myself.
Yes.
And slowly it became a larger purpose because I realized that ये वाली फीलिंग तो सभी दिव्यांग लोगों की है.
Yes.
और देश में ये भावना क्यों है कि अब ये औरत is like a dead body.
Yes.
What about the rehab? What about the fun aspect? What about the adventure aspect? What about the outdoor aspect? What about the travel aspect? What about the fashion aspect?
Basically,
what about
the
fun?
Basically,
what about the fun aspect?
Basically, the life itself. Life itself. Yes. That was not a life. Means you were missing the life.
I refused to be called a patient on the wheelchair.
I know. So
I mean, you are wearing spectacles. Nobody calls you blinded, and you know.
Yeah.
It is an assistive aid.
Yes.
For me, my wheelchair was an assistive aid.
Of course.
And I was tired of feeling guilty of being paralyzed. That was not my fault.
Yes.
I did not choose that.
Absolutely. So viewers, what Deepa ji trying to say that she wanted to discover after that disability the original Deepa, and she did that, and she found the possibility. See what she said is a very important thing. She said people were looking for the problem, not for the options, and she found those possibilities which are still there. So she wanted to become within the limitations. She wanted to become limitless, and that is what she proved out of that. So Deepa ji, somewhere you have said also that life is the only festival you should live every day. Okay, it's a powerful statement, very powerful statement. Whereas I know that.
और दूसरे शब्दों में कहूँ कर्नल साहब, तो it is जिंदगी ही एक ऐसा त्योहार है जिसे आप रोज मना सकते हैं, वो तारीखों की मोहताज नहीं होती.
Absolutely. You have said that. And what we see generally in the mediocre life, that you celebrate only Diwali, Holi, New Year, Christmas, and Eid, and thereafter rest of the time you are just struggling to sail through the life. So just for my viewer, tell that what is celebration every day has to be done. The life is so important that they should not forget that it has to be celebrated every moment, every day.
See, when I was told that my only chance to remain alive is the surgery, and it will be with chest below paralysis. I had requested Dr. Colonel Batish, then in RR Hospital, he was my neurosurgeon, and I told him, I said, I do not want to be carried on a stretcher or a wheelchair to the operation theater. Can I walk to the operation theater? And I took my last steps. And in those last steps, when I looked down, I said, look, at the age of 9, I got my legs back. And at the age of 29, they're going to go away. Now, do I cry of losing my legs, or do I celebrate still having those 20 years playing around, kicking around on those two lovely legs?
Yes.
So that day I decided that I will only appreciate and celebrate what I have and not crib or cry over what I don't.
Yes.
So I celebrate everything. Even when I'm cooking a dish, we make it into a celebration. Whether it is, we just look for excuses to have a cake cutting in the house or decorations in the house, or even all through the pandemic, we celebrated everything. We did our in-house decorations. We made lovely things for each other. I think every day practically is a blessing from the Almighty.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I am in habit of counting my blessings.
Yes, yes, I fully agree, Deepaji, that life, so long as every moment has to be celebrated, and you should be grateful to the Almighty that you are there. You are there.
And I think to me, the definition of celebration is also to be able to do what you are doing to best of your capacity,
Absolutely.
with full honesty,
Yes,
whatever role or whatever work you have for that day.
yes,
It should not be garbed by any excuses. And when you lay down that night on your bed and put your head on the pillow, you should be able to tell yourself that yes, whatever I had to do today, I have done to best of my capacity.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So that is the true celebration.
Absolutely. And Deepaji, the word which you have used, that no excuses. And I would say, viewers, what she is implying is that there is a acronym CB: no complaint, no blame, and no excuses. So right from her disability, she did not complain, she did not blame, and she did not have any excuses. She found the possibilities in life which are abundance, and that she has proved throughout life. Deepaji, thereafter you decided to become an athlete, and the way you started off, is that the swimming became your one of the first event where you not only swim in the swimming pools, you swam across the Yamuna River against the stream flow, and without any fear of failure. Means that is something incredible, incredible. You would like to share that
See,
no fear of failure, and you did that world record.
Fear of failure comes when there are some set bars or set marks to cross. When I set out on my mission ability beyond disability,
Yes.
I had no benchmarks because no woman in my disability had ever done that in India.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and nobody that I knew of was doing it. During my rehabilitation in the Indian Spinal Injury Center, I met a lady. She was running a small restaurant prior to getting paralyzed. So that kind of stuck with me. And my first step was to open a garden restaurant. Sitting from the chair, I first sorted out the financial independence.
Yes.
So that I can cross over that bridge of being called a financial liability for all my life, because there were expenses around me.
Absolutely.
6,000 to 7,000 पे तो मैं diapers ही लगा लेती हूँ. Then you have to have a nursemaid for catheterization, a physiotherapist, regular MRIs. Then you need extra help in the house for cooking and looking after the children. And my husband had also left the army. So we didn't even have the army kind of a backup, which normally you have, when you are in a cantonment area. So we had to really fend for ourselves in most of the things. And so from there, what I give myself a pat on the shoulder for is that I never stopped learning.
Yes.
I did not say that sitting on the wheelchair, now I'm a 32 years old or 33-year-old woman, and I know it all. I learned how to run a restaurant. Then I learned what was the power of internet. Then I joined myself. I made myself computer literate.
Yes.
Then I started researching on the net about people like me outside, what all do they do. Then I started questioning government about why can't I be a biker again? Why can't I be a car driver again? There were no motor vehicle act in place. There was no clarity on insurance. There was no clarity on customizations and modifications of the vehicles. Then slowly I've started finding purpose in it. And I said, let me do something from this body, because even if I ran a restaurant, people still look for the patriarchal support in it. They said, हाँ husband retire हो गया है, चलाता तो husband होगा.
I know.
And अहमदनगर में क्या problem है? इसके dad in law भी ex commandant retire हुए हैं.
Oh.
So she's got it on a silver plate.
Ah.
I said, okay, then I need to do something from this body, because if I will ride a bike, then obviously it wouldn't be ridden by my husband or my dad-in-law. If I have to, cross high altitude passes driving in a vehicle in such strong conditions and such severe disability, then it won't be my husband. So I set out on that, but then doctors told me that I have to strengthen my upper body. I need power in my shoulders. And the best way, accident-proof exercise is to go into hydrotherapy. And accidentally, in quest of becoming a biker again and to proving a point, I discovered that I can swim. So I think passion and purpose drives a person.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And when I started swimming and I learned about the sports, then at the age of 36, I joined the world of sports. My 2 children would accompany me. By then, my elder daughter was in class 10th, and she kind of became my partner in crime. So she would travel with me, and then we started. So it was very crazy. Actually, normally mothers take children to play. Here, children started taking me to play. Even when I had come for Commonwealth Games in 2010, when I switched from swimming to becoming an athlete, and 2010 brought me to Delhi. My attendant was my elder daughter, and here together we discovered that when we interacted with international athletes and we interacted with the IPC officials, the International Paralympic officials, we realized that there is a lot of dignity and recognition of parasports in other countries. Again, we researched, we took their policies, and we drafted a note and we presented it to the then government. Mm-hmm. And imagine, I was made a member in the 5-year planning commission. And later on, that continued under Niti Aayog. And then the policies were formed, not just in the central government, but also in the state governments. And I feel very proud that today, as president of Paralympic Committee, I can even give back to the same federation who actually gave me an opportunity to become an athlete. Absolutely. And I call myself more an activist. Sports activist than an athlete. It was all purpose driven. Actually, it was all to create a change, and any medium, whether it was swimming across river, whether it was scuba diving certification course, whether it was para motoring, whether it was jet skiing in the sea, whether it was crossing high altitude passes, whether it was driving from Chennai to Delhi, whether it was becoming the first ever Asian medalist or the World Championship medalist or the Paralympic medalist in the country. The whole journey has only meant one and only one thing, is to change the mindsets and make people in disability believe in themselves. Erase this whole bondage of gender, age, and disability.
Absolutely, absolutely, Deepa-ji. You rightly summed up everything. And in fact, the viewers, what she mentioned, the important thing, she never stopped learning. Despite all the problems, she started learning. She learned the 2-wheeler, she learned the 4-wheeler, she learned the swimming, and thereafter the world was there in front of her. And what she mentioned is she learned as an activist. Wherever there were obstacles, she cleared those obstacles. She overcame those obstacles and finally made the way through herself. She did not depend on anybody. She fought herself. And Deepa-ji, that is what makes you, because you found your purpose in the life. You found the purpose to solve the problems of millions who are like you. And that is where you succeeded. Because once the purpose is clear, you put a whole focus and energy on that. And really, so I can always say that you are the pride of India. There is no ambiguity in that. Deepa-ji, after that, as you already mentioned, once you've gone through the hydrotherapy, and then you realize that your shoulders and your arms are very strong. And that is what the self-awareness, you discovered yourself that yes, you can do much more than just swimming, because suddenly you got the strength. Self-awareness, nothing but you know your weak points and you know your strong point. You knew very well that what are your weak
Yes.
points, and then you realize that what is your strength also. Then you capitalized on your strength. So from the water sports, then you
Absolutely.
moved into the javelin, discus, and the shot put. That is self-awareness the people should realize.
Gee.
Tell something about that.
See, shifting gears from swimming to athletics was only natural, because if I had continued swimming, I would have stagnated internationally.
Absolutely.
And because I was competing against people in water with no use of legs. So even those who were amputees did not have legs,
Yeah.
but had full torso control, gluteal control, had oblique muscles, no paralysis, no surgery on the spine. They definitely had a lighter and a stronger body than I was.
Absolutely.
So dragging dead weight on weak shoulders where there is surgery between shoulder blades, I knew whatever I do, I will never be able to make a mark internationally. Maybe in India, I still have the 3 records: the backstroke, the freestyle, and the breaststroke in the disability category that I am. But that would just be being first in India, getting selected from India in various teams, and then ending up with nothing on my return. And people started feeling that I was just touring. And that's when I decided that I'm going to prove to the world that if I'm put against the same category where, I'm not put against amputees.
Yes.
And with spinal cord injury people, I am a good swimmer. And that's what led to me making that record in River Yamuna. That, listen, I can create records only if I'm in the very justified competition. And after doing that, in 2009, I turned an athlete, and people around me told me that it will be far better. I have a longer body, longer arms, and let me give myself a shot. But again, it was a lot of learning, because at 40, when you pick up a javelin,
Absolutely.
nobody tells you. The first thing that comes to your mind, बुढ़ापे में क्या खेलेंगी? उनका दिमाग फिर गया है. Then I wanted to shift to Delhi to pursue policies and to pursue my training and to ensure that my entries go on time, because things were not so organized at that point of time. And there was a lot of disbelief around a woman in 40-year-old, age. So closing down a full-fledged restaurant business after 7 years and taking this leap of faith.
Yes.
This was, they saying, "Arey, baitha bithaya business hai, acha bala chal raha hai." I told people, I said, make up your mind. Am I running that restaurant or my husband is running that restaurant? Now, when I'm leaving Ahmednagar to go and play, suddenly sabko restaurant yaad aa raha hai. And sure enough, the restaurant closed down after 2 months of my leaving Ahmednagar.
Okay.
So of course, that was also a huge risk.
Yes.
But then I think unless you are willing to adapt to a change and continuously learn, you cannot. And I had that self-belief that if I put my mind to it, I'm going to give it my 100%.
Absolutely.
I wanted to give myself that opportunity and not look back with regrets. It's better to try and fail than not to try at all.
Absolutely. And the fail is first attempt in learning always. Fail
Yes.
is not a failure. It is a first step to the success.
Yes.
So you rightly said, Deepaji, that the guys who were normally the athletes, they peak out at the age of 30, and you started your career at 36. And at the age of 46, you won the silver medal in Para-Olympic. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have proved yourself that, yes, you have broken the ceiling of gender. broken the ceiling of disability, and broken the ceiling of age. Okay.
Absolutely.
And what you mentioned is the very important thing, that unless you try the thing, you can't be failure. Failure once you stopped trying, that is what the failure is.
And I think there is another way of saying it, that victory belongs to those who continue to play the game.
Yes.
If you stop and sit in the spectator stand,
Yes.
you will never be part of that winning spree.
Absolutely.
You will just be a spectator, a bystander.
Absolutely. So here my question is, Deepaji, is that I think it is important to have the winning mindset rather than your age or your gender or your disability or ability. It is the winning mindset which makes all the more difference in everything.
There's a very famous line said by Martina Navratilova ji, and it has stayed with me. At the age of 43, when she won the Grand Slam, and people asked her, she says, the ball and the racket don't know my age.
Yes, 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 absolutely true.
So I think that kind of motivated, that stayed.
Yes.
And like I really wanted to prove a point, and I didn't want to settle for. So if I drove, I made a world record. If I drove, I went to the highest motorable road. If I swam, I created a record. If I played, then I had to be at the highest level of the sport, and that was Paralympics.
Absolutely.
I did not want to stop before that.
I know. So the friends, what Deepaji is saying is that winning mindset means once you have taken up something, do 100%, focus 100%, and be on the pinnacle. Don't accept the short of it. Don't accept the less. Don't go for the less. And that is what. So I think that highest motorable road means you have been to Khardungla Pass?
Hanji.
Okay. I was posted in Leh, so I can talk about that. 3 years I was in Nimu.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, Deepaji, that in 2017, you were honored by President with Padma Award. And I believe after the Padma Award, the Prime Minister walked in to you and he said that, Deepaji, you are getting this award not for the sports, but for changing the mindset of the people in this country and the world over. So what was the feeling that time, and what exactly you would like to comment on that? It is a big compliment that it is not only sports.
I think that goes down as the biggest compliment anybody can ever receive in their life, and coming from the Prime Minister himself, it kind of validated my journey. Absolutely. The whole purpose appeared to have been achieved. You know, that this is what I wanted to do. I set out not only to change my own identity, but to create awareness around abilities beyond disabilities, to change the mindsets of the country. And now, you know, when I featured as a model in a magazine on the cover page, I was walking the ramps for leading designers on a wheelchair. Slowly things happened, and I'm so happy that now, a time I was actually struggling. I was so desperately struggling for customization of the vehicles. I was struggling for permissions to drive a car. And today, you'll be surprised, one has achieved the milestones where I was invited by the World Motorsports Federation to come and flag off the Formula One race that happened in 2013. I was part of the grid ceremony. And today I am being gifted a vehicle which has been made to suit my body customization by a manufacturing company, by Anand Mahindraji himself. Today, MG Motors has used my voice as the voice of the new MG Aster. So things can happen. Yes. When I was looking for somebody to make a two-wheeler for me, customized that I can ride. Now, so many years later, The Honda company has also gifted me a customized bike, and Hero company has also gifted me a customized scooty. So it life has come full circle and things
Full
have
circle.
happened.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that if you believe in an initiative and you can take an initiative and put your sincere efforts to it, you see the impact. It happens.
Yes, it happens, and that is where you grow from the self-doubt to self-belief. And if you have a self-belief and put 100% in that, you can achieve anything. And you are the proof right in
The
front of
only
you.
mantra that I follow is that I never raise doubts. I
Yes.
just uh, make up my mind that this is something I need to do, and then continuously work at how to do it.
Yes. How to do
What is the way to do it?
it.
If these
Absolutely.
are the obstacles, what are the solutions to do it?
Absolutely.
Not even once do I give myself a negative suggestion that, oh, where have you put your head to? This can't be done. How are you going to do it? You will not be able to do it. Will I be able to do it? I don't put these questions. All I do is I have to do it.
So it is Deepaji, something like that. As a child, when he wants to do something, when he wants to play something, he's not fearful of anything. He is always happy. He take all the risks. So if you want to achieve something, keep the child within you, and that is what you
Yeah,
have been
that
following.
I totally agree with you.
Yes, and that is what you have been doing. You have been following, and I think there is no looking back from that. Deepaji, the first thing which you did after finding yourself at that other side of the life, when you went through the operation, that you first made yourself financially independent by opening your garden restaurant.
Ji.
Then you decided to make yourself physically so fit and strong. Okay. But in the entire journey, always there are people who come to you and they help you to grow in that journey, or rather support you. And one of that factor has been your daughters.
Yes.
We would like to listen that you have mentioned somewhere that generally the mother looks after the daughter, but in this case, the daughter looked after the mother. I think
Yeah,
it's a
because
very
they became the extensions of my limbs. The brain used to be mine and the actions were undertaken by them. So automatically, when people thought that this disease is going to be a curse in the family, it has turned out to be a boon. We are so closely bonded with each other, and there is a very innate sense of obedience and respect, and they have grown up to be very sensitive girls, very helpful in their nature.
absolutely.
They put service before self, because in
Yes.
middle of the night also, if you call them, they get up, and they are there. So I think at the end of it, our team did good. Whether I still ask myself, was I giving them a bath or were they giving me a bath? Was I actually feeding them or were they feeding me? So we did good, and probably that's the reason even during the pandemic, three of us lived together in Delhi. My husband has to take care of my in-laws and the farmhouse in Maharashtra. He has to juggle. But most of the time, their education happened here, and then they are working here, and the elder one is working with me, looking after my vertical. She's also running an NGO where she's also supporting people and various disabilities to find their sources of happiness.
Absolutely.
So this teamwork has, in any case, I very strongly believe that no success can be achieved singularly.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a medal, whether it's an achievement, whether it's an award, the credit has to go to the entire team.
Absolutely.
Even if I win a medal, it starts from family support, to people who are my attendants, my escorts, to the funding given by the government, to the support of the federation, the coach, the skill coach, the gym trainer, the mental trainer, the sports psychologist, the nutritionist, the
Absolutely.
physiotherapist. So there is so many things that come together to make a medal.
It's an entire team
So
outcome.
I would say the biggest strength has been great teamwork
Yes.
and probably identifying the correct team.
Yes.
That is very important aspect, because your team has to have the same vision and the same goal that you are passionate about.
Absolutely.
The degree of passion has to be common.
Absolutely.
And I think my team was always just the right one.
Fantastic. I mean, but then you have to have an eye for selecting the correct people for the correct class.
Absolutely.
That is
even
very
I even say that for my friends. I choose people who are happy people in my life. I choose people who can do some value addition in my life. So if you start living with a lazy, lethargic person who overeats, has no purpose, you yourself will start feeling and becoming like that.
Absolutely.
So I choose people who can be my motivation, who can motivate me for at least 2 to 3 things. Everybody might not have every quality.
Yes.
But they do have 1 or 2. So I keep identifying people in a way who can keep motivating me to do better and make myself a better version of myself each day.
Absolutely, Deepaji. What you said is that you become the average of the 5% whom you are surrounded with.
Absolutely.
Those 5%, whatever qualities they have, you will become one of them of that. So whether they are better, then you will become better. If they are lethargic and slower, then you will end up becoming like that. And what an important thing you have mentioned about that. Further, Deepaji, that in the whole journey of yours, I believe 2 very important aspects. That is, you have already brought out Deepaji, with so much of excellence in your life already, you have done so much for the nation or internationally, where you have already Khel Ratna, Padma, then Arjuna Award, and hundreds of medals and other things. Thereafter, you are running an NGO also, that Wheeling Happiness. What a beautiful name, that you are providing happiness to the people with the wheels. What next? What next, Deepaji, have in mind? The vision for the country or vision for the world as such?
Currently, I'm very busy in my role of President of Paralympic Committee of India. So I really want more and more people to be empowered through sports, because sports is a very unifying factor.
Yes.
Sports is very empowering psychologically, physically, and now with the current schemes under Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji's government, it is also it brings in a lot of financial stability in the life of a person with disability if the person is playing a good level of sports. There are job opportunities, cash reward opportunities, there are pension policies. So I feel nothing better than sports to empower anyone in disability. So we're trying to grow the para sports. That's a vision of mine. And sports also breaks caste, creed, those kind of barriers. It brings in camaraderie, healthy competition. You, despite having a loss of a limb or despite having disability, you are still called a sports person.
Absolutely.
That immediately changes your identity to an athletic personality, to a fit personality. So it is emotionally, internally, everything is very empowering. So that's one role that I am really devoted to at the moment. And when you say how and what I want to see in future, I definitely want to see my new India as inclusive India. As a member of Prime Minister's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Committee, India at 75, I wish to see my India accessible. And when I say accessible, I want to see it accessible in 3 ways. One, mindsets should be accessible, because people should not have that taboos against disability. There should be a lot of opportunities without any, mm, underestimation of person's ability. So that accessible mindsets, and it is not just for people without disability, even people with disability should understand their duty as a citizen.
Absolutely.
They have to develop a skill. They
Yes.
have to either educate themselves, empower themselves, so that they can become a part of the system. They
Yes.
can contribute and give back to the society.
Yes.
So that accessibility of the mindsets,
Yes.
that is important. Second, the infrastructural accessibility, because unless we have uh, the physical accessibility, the infrastructural accessibility, despite having a hunar in me, I may not be able to reach the office or a particular workplace, because we need that end-to-end accessibility.
Absolutely.
Public transport, pathways, lifts, ramps, braille markings, tactile tiles, audible lifts or signages. So all that I would love to see in my country. And the third accessibility is digital accessibility,
Okay.
because it's very important for all the softwares, all the applications, uh, to have the compliance for a visually impaired person to be able to operate that, for a person who does not hear or speak to be able to see the signages. So that digital accessibility is also what is important in today's modernized, technologically savvy world.
Fantastic, Deepaji. Your vision is quite awesome. In fact, very aptly you summarize these three things. One is the mindset accessibility, then the physical accessibility, and then the digital accessibility. I think it encompasses everything.
Yes.
And if our India has all this for everyone, I think it's not only for disabled people, for everyone. If we have this, probably we will become 100% developed country. And I think the people like you will are contributing immensely, and the vision of our leaders like Modi ji, and you are already part of that Amrit Mahotsav which is going on right now, and I think we will achieve that under your stewardship. Uh, Finally, Deepaji, you have certain interest also other than the sports. What are those interests? Some
Oh, I have a lot of interests. I love
I know,
cooking.
I know.
I love traveling. I love watching movies. I love listening to music. I can't sing, but I always have some music or the other playing in, and practically a gadget which plays music in every corner of the house.
Very nice.
So that is very important. I'm first show movie buff. अब थोड़ा busy ज़्यादा हो गया है, but yeah, that's something I love. So I love meeting friends, traveling, I've already said, and adventure. I'm an adventure junkie. Wherever, whatever adventure scope I get, including going to the highest alpine roller coaster and doing that in Switzerland, to swimming underwater with the dolphins in Dubai.
Oh,
Whenever I get practically ridden on a dolphin fin and gone underwater with the dolphin swimming.
oh,
So anything and anything that I can do uh, in the
adventurous.
world of adventure, I love that. And I love writing poetry.
Okay, okay,
I
okay.
like writing poetry. So yeah, I like to pen down my thoughts in form of a poem.
Anything coming to mind, if two line of poetry of yours, which
Yeah,
is
since we have spoken so much about army, and we have spoken so much about my father.
okay.
Uh, you know, there was a day when everybody was asked to light a lamp by Honorable Prime Minister as a symbol of gratitude to Corona warriors, to all the hospital staff in the
Yes,
first wave.
yes.
And there was so much of discussion on that. And I said, oh my God, just a small gesture of lighting a lamp. And people are even creating so much of argument on such a beautiful gesture.
I know.
And then I remembered that my father had named me Deepa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said, he always said that it is always better to light a lamp than to curse the dark.
I know.
There's so much of controversy in lighting a lamp. And then I
Yes.
started thinking, what must be the thought process? Like how Modi ji is saying that light a lamp and pay your gratitude in your balconies. You can't come out, but let us be united in lighting a lamp.
Yes, yes.
I said, then what must be my dad's thought process while naming me Deepa?
Yeah.
Of course, I lost my dad in 2018, and
Okay. Okay.
sitting in the balcony by the lamp that I lit that day, I dedicated this poem to my dad,
Okay.
wondering why he named me Deepa.
Okay.
So you can see this is my diary, and I just
Okay,
penned it
okay.
down on that day. And it goes something like this.
Okay.
दीपा मेरे पापा के शब्दों में, दीप सी प्रज्वलित, सकारात्मकता को समर्पित, वीर स्वभाव से गठित, बिटिया तुम ऐसी होना, ज्ञान से दूर करना अंधकार, जुल्म का न सहना प्रहार, मानवता का करती रहो प्रचार, बिटिया तुम ऐसी होना, हृदय के हर डर को हराना, जीत के ही सर्वदा दीप जलाना, कर्मठता की शक्ति को बढ़ाना, बिटिया तुम ऐसी होना, पीड़ित को अवश्य देना दान, शिष्टाचार का करना आदान प्रदान, देश के लिए दे देना बलिदान, बिटिया तुम ऐसी होना, न करना कभी स्वयं की बड़ाई, सीखते रहना, खूब करना पढ़ाई, अंधकार पे करना रोशनी की चढ़ाई, बिटिया तुम ऐसी होना, आग की ज्वाला सा, आग की ज्वाला सा, ज्योति के उजाला सा, दीपा रखा है मैंने नाम तुम्हारा, जीवन के संघर्ष से कभी डर न जाना, दीपा बेटी मेरी तुम सदा, उम्मीद का एक नया दिया जलाना.
What a wonderful poem, Deepa ji. I think you must be reciting this first time, if I'm not wrong.
I do share it on and off, but
Okay.
बहुत कम मौका लगता है कि कोई कहे कविता सुनाओ.
In fact, that reminds me, Deepa ji, that my son's name is Dev. And
Okay.
when my daughter was born, after I think 5 years of my son, so I asked my dad, क्या नाम रखें? बोले देव, and देव के साथ में दिया. So my daughter's name is Diya.
Oh, how sweet.
So I just reminded of that, how the elders used to keep the name. So,
Yeah.
Deepa ji is really honored and awesome. The last word to my audience from your side.
I think my last word would be a request that never give up hope.
Yes.
And continue to find solutions to everything.
Yes.
Stay in solution mode.
Yes. Yes.
Because what I have learned from my life is that a solution finding mindset is a person. It belongs to a person who then has all the qualities, who has the qualities of adapting the change, accepting the change, and knows that change is the only thing which is permanent in life. Because change is inevitable. And if we start getting scared of change, the only way to battle change is to look for solutions. And the only way to look for solutions is to continuously learn.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, मैं आप कौन बनेगा करोड़पति देखते हैं और उसमें अमिताभ बच्चन जी कहते हैं सीखना बंद तो जीतना बंद, हाँ. एंड मैं सीखती चली गई और मैं जीतती चली गई और मैं कौन बनेगा करोड़पति में भी आ गई. तो
अच्छा गए थे आप?
यस. सो आई थिंक अगर मेरे से कुछ सीखना है तो बस यही सीखिए कि सीखते रहिए.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what you said, Deepa ji, that change is the only constant in life. Change is the only constant. There is nothing else which is constant.
The moment you resist change, you will stagnate.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
And
progress is progress. What is progress? Progress is better results than before,
yes, yes,
which
yes,
also means change.
yes. So
Growth,
basically,
when you
you
want to see growth in a graph,
yes,
if the point remains the same, constant, then
yes,
how will you measure the growth?
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
So everything has to change.
As you rightly said, Deepaji, the stagnancy start stinking.
Yes.
And the moment you start stinking, your life becomes dead. And even your cardiograph, what you call is that,
Yes.
is also
A
not a
straight
constant, it's
line,
also
a
a straight
stagnant
line is
line
dead. Okay.
is death.
And also the success doesn't mean that there's a particular point you have to reach. Success is continuous movement towards your ultimate goals. So continuous process of progressing 1% every day is the success.
And another thing I would like to add here is that if your goals are value addition goals,
yes, yes,
you will always remain very self motivated.
absolutely.
मैं जब कोई काम करती हूँ या मुझे पता है कि मेरे इस काम करने से, suppose if I'm working as an efficient president and I'm taking care of all the annual competition calendar, the athletes are going on time, they're getting their nutrition on time, my hard work will impact others' lives positively. I will be able to give back to society, to country, to an organization. You stay even more motivated. So whatever goal you have, it should have value addition, not just for yourself, but also touching lives of many.
I think those are the only goals, Deepaji, what I say, when you impact the life of others.
Yes.
Then only you grow, then only you will have a fulfillment. Success,
Absolutely.
anybody can have. The fulfillment of life comes only when you impact the life of millions,
Yes.
other millions. And that is what you have been doing it. And so proud of you, Deepaji. And thank you so much, viewers. And thank you so much, Deepaji, with such a kind conversation and such a inspiring and learning conversation, I must say.
Thank you so much.
And I'm really privileged for that.
Thank you. Thank you.